when I started writing this piece, the idea of coming up with these three substances or groups of substances, that each of them is attractive but also dangerous in a certain way if you do too much of it. I thought it would be a good thing for me as an inspiration, but also, as you say, it connects the audience to it.
Well, I understood spices and perfumes, but not toxins. Toxins are poisons, aren't they?
Correct, but some toxins like alcoholic drinks and other toxins we won't mention on the radio are attractive to us humans, but are quite dangerous as well.
And you tie them all together in the fact that they can be connected to seduction?
In a certain way, yes. I think they sort of give us the meaning of life, something that you really like and want and gives you pleasure, but you should be aware of too much of it.
When I think of seduction, I usually don't think of percussion.
Percussion has actually the widest range of dynamics. It can be the loudest instrument, of course, but it can also be very, very soft. And especially instruments like vibraphone, marimba, glockenspiel, all these instruments that are melodic instruments, they actually can, if you use very soft mallets, they can go very soft. I also think that seduction can take different forms. In the second movement, Perfumes, it's actually a very, very gentle movement, mostly. But seduction doesn't have to be very gentle always.
Well, how much does a piece like this change in performance? What happens when Percadou and Zubin Mehta and the New York Philharmonic take over? Do you hear something that you... sometimes playwrights will tell me that, or people who've written film scripts, that they're surprised by what happens to their words when actors take them and personalize them.
Well, there's definitely a lot of interpretation and performance that goes on. I would say with an orchestra especially, and with soloists that I know very well, and I've worked with them for many years, it's actually probably the most... you can be the most control freak, much more than a playwright, because you don't just write the sentence. I tell them how quickly to say the sentence and where to put the accent and who comes in exactly when. And they sort of have no choice of when to do it. But on the other hand, an orchestra like the New York Philharmonic and a conductor like Zubin Mehta, they really do put in a certain expression and enthusiasm that, you know, I sort of dream of it and hope for it when I write the piece. But it's a great pleasure to hear it, of course.
Well, this piece has been performed elsewhere.
It has.
With different conductors.
Right.
How different would it sound?
It does sound different with different conductors. One of the things I love about Mehta is that his sense of inner rhythm is really almost not human. You know, it's sort of beyond what most people can achieve. Holding an orchestra is such a large ensemble. It's very hard to keep the rhythm so strong and groovy the whole time.
You've also said that your music is influenced by the Hebrew language. That was sort of a result of a pretty complicated conversation with that interviewer. But I think thought is very much influenced by the language that one speaks. I think there's a big difference between different languages, and Hebrew specifically, because it's based on very small roots that make up most of the words, and there aren't that many roots, and you sort of alter them almost spontaneously, and people can understand. So in a way, that's very much like motivic development in concert music, and I think it does influence my thought process.